Did you ever think the Chicago Bears could completely reshape their future in just one day? Well, today might be that day. The NFL trade deadline is finally here, and things are about to get wild. Big names, bold decisions, and maybe the move that changes everything for Chicago. Before we jump into the latest news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss breaking updates. Now, let's move to the big news. Today is officially the NFL trade deadline, and the pressure is on for the Chicago Bears. Everyone is wondering, who will the Bears go after, and will they make the bold moves needed to turn this season around? Right now, the Bears have 4 major areas they must fix. Number 1, edge rusher, especially after the injury to Dio Odenigbo. The defense needs someone who can create pressure immediately. Number 2, cornerback, especially an outside corner who can lock down top receivers. At number 3, I'd put defensive tackle. It's more realistic to add a solid defensive tackle mid-season than trying to trade for a high-level left tackle. And that brings us to number 4, left tackle. It's important, but it's tough to find a reliable one during the season. So, let's talk about some names that keep coming up for Chicago. One of the biggest is Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals. Rumors are flying, will Cincinnati really let him go? Some teams like Dallas are already showing interest. Reports say the Bengals wanted a first-round pick, but that seems unlikely. If a team can grab him for a second or even a third-round pick, that would be a steal. Another name is Danielle Hunter. He's 31, still playing at a high level, and under contract for one more season. A first-round pick is too much, and even a second feels heavy. But if the Bears could get him for a third-round pick, that might be a smart move. Experience, production, and immediate help on the edge. More trades, more drama, and more possibilities are still ahead, so stay with me. Managing cap space is always a challenge, but if the Bears really want to land a top edge rusher, they can make it work at a void year, shift some money around, push a bit into 2026. If the deal makes the team better, you find a way to fit it in. The real question is whether the other teams are actually willing to trade their stars. Take Jonathan Greenard from the Texans for example. It's not guaranteed Houston will move him, but for a third-round pick, I'd definitely make the offer. Then there's Jermaine Johnson from the Jets. A few weeks ago, New York firmly said he's staying. But things change quickly in the NFL. With his injury history and that Achilles tear in the past, I wouldn't give up a second or third. A fourth-round pick feels fair. Now, Kayvon Thibodeaux, a big name. Reports say the Giants want a first-round pick. That's a hard no. I might consider a third because he's strong against the run and shows flashes as a pass rusher. He also fits the size and style that defensive coaches like Dennis Allen look for. But a first? Not happening. Even a second is a stretch. Bradley Chubb is another interesting option. It feels likely he gets traded. The only questions are, where does he land, and what's the price? He's making around $19 million a year. He's good, but not an elite, game-changing player. For a fourth or even fifth-round pick, he'd be worth considering. There are also a few more edge rushers to keep an eye on. Players like Chase Young and Carl Granderson from the Saints could be great fits, especially with their understanding of similar defensive systems. Will McDonald-4 is more of a speed rusher, lightweight but quick off the edge. He's not the perfect fit, but he brings explosive pass-rushing talent. Then you've got role players like Arden Key and Arnold Ebiketie, who could be part of a rotation. Veterans like Matt Judon and Von Miller are also floating around in rumors, experienced, but maybe past their prime. Draymond Jones is producing well this season with 4.5 sacks in 9 games, although his scheme fit is uncertain. And Anfernee Jennings, solid against the run, but doesn't bring much in pass rush. The options are there. The question is, will the Bears be aggressive or stay quiet? Stay with me. You could use certain players on early downs to strengthen the run defense, but the ideal solution is still hard to find. Then there's Boye Mafe from Seattle. He's in the final year of his contract, which makes him an interesting option. The question is, would the Bears even consider going after someone like him? It's possible, but not guaranteed. Now, let's dream a little. Who is your ideal edge rusher for the Chicago Bears? And no, we're not talking about fantasy picks like Max Crosby or Myles Garrett. As incredible as they are, those players are almost untouchable. Still, realistic or not, who would you want wearing a Bears jersey? Let's shift to another key position, defensive tackle, before we move on to cornerbacks. One name that stands out is Quinnen Williams. He's a dominant force in the middle, and honestly, I've always been unsure whether giving up a second-round pick for him would be smart. But when you look at the impact he brings, strength, pressure, leadership, it makes you think twice. Players like him don't come around often, and if he hits the market, someone will take the chance. More names are coming, more big decisions to discuss, so stay with me. If the Jets were willing to accept a second-round pick for Quinnen Williams, I'd take that deal without hesitation. But if they're demanding a first-rounder, that's where it stops for me. Williams is a game-changer, strong, explosive, and someone who instantly upgrades your defensive line. Getting him for a second would feel like a win. Shelby Harris is another name floating around. He's solid, experienced, and can fit into different systems. But he's more of a rotational piece, not the kind of impact player who shifts a defense overnight. Then there's Davon Godchaux from the Saints, mainly a run stopper. With players like Andrew Billings and Jonathan Ford already handling that role, adding another pure run defender doesn't really solve the Bears' bigger issues. Two interesting hybrid players are Tyree Wilson and Calais Campbell. They can line up both on the edge and inside at defensive tackle, depending on the scheme. Wilson, a former first-round pick, hasn't fully found his rhythm with Vegas, but he's shown flashes, especially rushing from the interior. Meanwhile, Calais Campbell, even at 38, is still producing at a high level. If his team decides to make moves, he could be a valuable veteran presence. Now, shifting to cornerbacks, Rasul Douglas is at the top of the list for me. He's exactly what the Bears need, a reliable outside corner who can step in right away. You don't need a long-term replacement. Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon are already locked in for the future. What you need is stability for the rest of this season, and Douglas delivers that. He's smart, consistent, and has experience in multiple defensive systems. Another name to consider is Alontae Taylor. He's younger, still on his rookie contract, and brings upside. More names are coming, so stay with me. So the question is, do you see Alontae Taylor as a long-term piece or just a short-term fix? Maybe both. What makes him valuable is his flexibility. He can line up in the slot, he can play outside, and he already understands the defensive language and system from New Orleans. That means he wouldn't need much time to adjust. Another name being talked about is Rick Woolen from the Seahawks. He's been playing well recently, but Seattle is a playoff contending team. They won't give him away for cheap. Reports suggest they're unsure if he and Boy may fit their future plans, which could make them available for the right price. But even then, are you really giving up a third or fourth round pick for someone on an expiring contract? Personally, I'd rather spend less and go for someone like Rasul Douglas. Cam Taylor-Britt is another solid option if the price stays low, maybe a late round pick or a simple pick swap. He's had ups and downs this season, but we've seen him perform at a high level before. Then there's Joshua Williams from the Chiefs. He started games in the Super Bowl, has experience in big moments, and has the size and length coaches love in a pressman corner. He may not be a clear upgrade over someone like Tariq Stevenson right away, but he's an intriguing name with untapped potential. And here's a really interesting one, Asante Samuel Jr. Earlier this season, he was coming off neck surgery and had to go through medical clearance in mid-October. According to reports, he's now officially cleared to return and can start visiting teams. If I'm the Bears, I'd call his agent immediately. Bring him in for a workout. If he looks healthy, sign him even if it starts with the practice squad. With Dio Odenigbo's spot open, there's room to take a chance on high upside. And who knows, by the time you're hearing this, the Bears might have already made their move. Stay with me. If the Bears were able to bring in Asante Samuel Jr., even just on the practice squad to start, it could turn into a smart move. You wouldn't have to give up any draft picks, and once he's healthy and back in form, he can play outside corner and even slide into the nickel if needed. That kind of flexibility is rare. Of course, he'd need a little time to get in game shape, maybe a week or two to regain full speed and conditioning. But the upside is clear. Tariq Stevenson and Terrell Smith have held up fine, but adding competition never hurts. If Samuel comes in, competes, and earns snaps, that could quietly become one of the best midseason moves for this defense. If I'm Chicago, I'm at least making the call, checking his medicals, and seeing what he's got. He's already been cleared, but the Bears would naturally want to confirm everything themselves. Now, if they explore more cornerback options, there are still names worth considering. Isaac Yiadom, who has ties to Dennis Allen from New Orleans, though injuries have slowed him this year. Christian Fulton, talented but inconsistent, and currently lost in the depth chart. Mike Hughes, a veteran who can play both inside and outside, though Atlanta might not be ready to move on from him. And then Deonte Banks, he's struggled badly, but if the Bears want a low-risk reclamation project, a simple pick swap might get it done. So there it is, 30 potential targets the Bears could explore, including free agents like Asante Samuel Jr. Today, everything becomes real. The trade deadline is here, and soon we'll know exactly what direction Chicago chooses. More updates are on the way, so stay with me.